All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about a word you've probably heard a million times, blockchain. And no, it's not just about crypto. It's a much bigger idea, one that's actually rebuilding how we trust each other in our digital world. So let's unpack what that really means.
I mean, think about it for a second. Every single time you buy something online, send an email, or open a file, you're basically trusting some company, some server you've never even seen. But what happens when that trust gets shattered? That question right there is the whole reason blockchain even exists.
The thing is, we're kind of living through a digital trust crisis right now. Our whole world is online, our money, our private data, entire companies. And with all that, we've swung the door wide open for all sorts of new problems.
I mean, every time you see a headline about some massive data breach or crazy new scam, that feeling of uncertainty just grows, doesn't it? And that's exactly why blockchain has jumped from this super niche thing for tech nerds to a seriously important tool for, well, for anyone who cares about security and transparency.
Okay, so here's the roadmap for today. We've just touched on the trust crisis. Next, we'll dig into what blockchain is, how it actually works, where it's making a real-world impact. Then we're going to bust some common myths, and finally, look at the future it's building.
All right, so how does this thing actually solve our trust problem? It's time to look past all the hype and the crazy headlines to really get what's at the core of it all, the unchangeable ledger. At its heart, a blockchain is just a special kind of database. And the two magic words here are immutable, which just means you can't change it, and distributed, meaning no single person or company is in control. Everything is spread out.
Okay, this is a great way to picture it. Imagine a digital notebook that everyone in a group shares. Anytime something happens, a new page is added with the details. But here's the kicker. Once a page is in, it's in for good. You can't secretly tear it out or scribble over what's already there. It's locked in, forever.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's just quickly cover a few key terms. A hash? That's just a unique digital fingerprint for each block of info. A node is simply any computer that's part of the network. A smart contract is basically a contract that executes itself when certain conditions are met. And the ledger? Well, that's the shared notebook we were just talking about. All right, now for the fun part. How does this chain actually work? It sounds super complicated, I know, but we can really break it down into 3 simple steps that show how this whole thing builds trust from the ground up. Okay, step 1, the blocks are all chained together. Each new block holds the unique fingerprint, the hash, of the one right before it. If you try to mess with one block, its fingerprint changes, which breaks the entire chain. It's like a tripwire. Everyone knows instantly. Step 2, it's decentralized. The chain isn't stored in one place. It's copied across thousands of computers, so there's no single server to hack. And step 3, consensus. Before a new block gets added, most of the computers on the network have to give it a thumbs up and agree it's legit. This makes sure everyone's copy of the notebook stays exactly the same. So that's the how, but let's talk about the why. Why should you care? Because this technology is making waves in the real world, way beyond just crypto. So what really makes blockchain a game changer? It boils down to these key benefits. It's transparent because everyone with permission can see the same record. It's super secure, and once something's recorded, it's permanent. It's also really efficient because it can cut out the middlemen. And it gives us traceability so we can track something from the very beginning to the very end. And this isn't just theory. These benefits are already shaking things up in some huge industries. In finance, think faster, cheaper payments across the globe. For logistics, we're talking supply chains where you can track every single step. In healthcare, it can be used for super secure patient records. Even governments can use it to make their processes more transparent. And check this out. This is a perfect example of how real this gets. Imagine you're buying a luxury handbag. You scan a code on it, and boom, your phone shows you its entire life story, right from the workshop to the store shelf, all verified. Counterfeits? Almost impossible. That's what we mean by guaranteed authenticity. Okay, but like with any big new tech, there's a ton of hype and a lot of myths. So let's do a little myth busting and separate the facts from the fiction. First up, the biggest myth of all, that blockchain is just Bitcoin or crypto. And as we've already seen, that's just not true. Crypto was the first big thing, sure, but the technology underneath it is way, way bigger and more useful. Now, this next one is super important to understand. Is the blockchain network itself ridiculously secure? Absolutely. But it's not a magic truth serum. If a scammer puts a fake diamond in a box and logs it on the blockchain as real, the blockchain will perfectly and securely record that lie. It protects the record, not the real-world thing itself.
And look, it's not perfect. There are some real hurdles. It can be really complex to get started. Some of the older networks get bogged down when things get busy, and the rules and regulations are still being figured out. Plus, if it's not set up right, it can have security holes. And let's be honest, all the early scams have given it a bit of a PR problem. Okay, so we've covered a lot. What's the one big idea you should walk away with as we look at what's next? It's this. The real magic of blockchain isn't about any one thing, like cryptocurrency. It's about its ability to build trust between people who don't even know each other, all without needing a middleman like a bank or a government. It's a whole new foundation for our digital lives, built on data you can actually verify. And that kind of brings us back to you. Think about it. Where in your own life or your work could a system like this, one that's secure and totally transparent, make a real difference? The possibilities are just getting started. Hey, if this helped clear things up, make sure you subscribe because we do deep dives like this all the time. And that original article we based this on, the link is right down in the description. Thanks for watching.